Me, I'm Robin Seligmann, born and raised in the suburb of Paris. I started by launching some marketplace with my friends of the university. The culture is the foundation of the company. My first big success, we sold the marketplace. We built a portfolio of 8 companies from 0 to 20 million of cumulative revenue. A studio of app mobile, we have a software, online school, Shopify application. So
what I think is interesting about your model is you engage with students, dropouts, and you don't pay salary, of course, during this 90 days program.
Yeah, our model is the similar model of the football training center.
And you are focusing on people who are very eager to start being entrepreneur and who are very active.
Problem with the education system in France, you don't judge a fish to his capacity to jump on the tree, you know. 7
startups you plan to launch a year?
Yeah.
So you invest 150k euro per company?
8 are already spin-off and we are currently working on 4 new.
Tell about the biggest mistakes.
Do we have time to make a second podcast? You know, it's the philosophy of done is better than perfect. Your first podcast will be bad, your first project will be bad, your first pitch to investor will be bad, but we don't care. The thing is about step by step, try to improve myself better. And by the way, what we do, it was a secret, but now it will be no more a secret.
We've hosted already 5 online conferences for venture studios, VCs and family offices, and I'm inviting you to join our paid community called Venture Studio Family. If you are a venture studio founder or a representative or a manager of a venture studio, you want to learn the best practices and know how different venture studios operate. You can find the best ways on how to attract founders, great founders to venture studios, or how to create successful companies with not superstar founders. You can learn how to fundraise into your studio fund, or into your startups created in the studio. You can learn how to create sustainable studio which has cash flow and which can be not dependent on external venture capital. You can find the best ways to manage the studio if you join this community. So check the link Venture Studio Family in the description and join the community of about 30 venture studios. Hello, my name is Max. I'm an entrepreneur and I record podcasts with startup studio founders. Today my guest is Robin Seligmann, a co-founder of The Quest, a startup studio based in France, in Paris. They are 5 co-founders gathered together to launch a bootstrap studio. They also have an agency as a part of the studio, and they help university dropouts, students who decided to build companies. They help them build these companies. They attract them for a 90 days program and then invest 150,000 euro per company. New company with young entrepreneurs are created. They've created 8 startups so far from 2019. So it's 4 years, 8 companies, total revenue 20 million euro. For this 4 years. Interesting part is the equity split. They are not taking too much. They're taking just 10% of equity as a studio for this program and for the initial support for the startups, and also 10% for 150k investment from the fund and investors participating, and 80% is going to entrepreneurs until the seed round, Series A, and so on.
Robin, very nice to meet you on my podcast. Tell about The Quest, about you, and how you started your startup studio.
Yeah, sure. But first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's funny to tell that I meet you on LinkedIn. Basically, I saw your report and I was like, oh my God, the guy that deeply understands the game that I'm playing. So thank you very much for having me and have the chance to talk about The Quest and for your super good report that explain deeply the game of the studio. Me, I'm Robin Seligmann. I'm born and raised in the suburb of Paris, and basically my entrepreneurial journey started when I was at the university. I started by launching some marketplace with my friends of the university. At the time, we were organizing some party with the university, so we have a lot of contacts and a lot of networks on the evenemential field of Paris. So we know a lot of food trucks, a lot of agency to book places, venue for party. And we say, okay, it's funny, we have a good portfolio of contact in this field. Let's create some marketplace to connect the contact that we have and the people that are looking for to book food trucks, a venue for party, something like that. And with my friend of the university, we started to train ourselves to search engine optimization, because at the time we didn't have that much money to invest on the marketplace, and we started to bootstrap those marketplaces that works very well, because they basically ranked all the keywords, you know, in Google, and so we get a lot of traction on those marketplaces. And it was let's say my first big success, because then we sold the marketplace to big players on the industry, and it was great because it helped me to know, okay, how to run a first business, how to organize myself with some partner, and basically how to bootstrap a project from zero. We started like this with the only ambition to have fun and do some stuff with my friend, basically. And at the end of 2019, we say maybe we can join our forces and launch a bootstrap starter studio, because we know how to do it with the marketplace, and help people to get traction on the most difficult time of a company, which is the beginning, the foundation of your company. And so we started like this. At the time, we call ourselves the secret company, because we were like the hiding founder of the team, and helping people to build the right foundation. At the beginning, it was more like I would say an entrepreneurial playground. We didn't call ourselves the startup studio, because it was just the beginning, and we didn't know that well how to play this game. We just started naturally like this. It was funny at the time because it took maybe 3 years to deeply understand how to play well the game of a startup studio. We learn on the hard way on doing it. It is hiring the right people. It's mostly a game of people at the beginning. The quality of the people you met, and how good they are. Second is the ideation. Understand that you can have a team, but if they work on the bad idea, it never go that far. Avoiding the big mistake at the beginning. And so we started with that during 3 years. We built a portfolio of 8 company. And at the beginning, we were not like a focus on one field. We are not like a focus startup studio on the software, for example, or on the application side. We mostly love the founders we met, and we say, okay, let's build with them. And after those 3 years, we passed from 0 to 20 million of cumulative revenue on those different different society startup we co-create. And we notice that
is it a total value for 3 years, or it is annual revenue?
No, it's the after 3 years the total revenue of our portfolio. And we understand that we have one pattern on those different companies that were very different, because we have a studio of app mobile, we have a software, we have online school, we have Shopify application. So the project were very different, but the pattern, it was on the type of entrepreneur that we help. And they are, for the most, all dropouts. So basically, there's people that don't want to go at school, that are very singular, that wants to create their own company. Mm-hmm. And so we say, okay, it's funny, maybe our edge is here. We are not dedicated like a startup studio on the software, but we are dedicated to the dropouts, to the people that mainly are a little bit like us, that are very singular, and that want to quit school to launch their startup. And we say, okay, it's funny because the model is quite similar to the training center that you could have in the football, for example. And the joke inside was to call the founders of the startup the Kylian Mbappé, because they were very young and very talented for us. Mm-hmm. And so we say, okay, maybe our model is the similar model of the football training center. We detect very young, very singular entrepreneurs drop out, and we help them on the beginning of the career to understand how to run a business, how to build the right foundation of the company, how to meet the right people, And so basically we started like this The Quest, and we rebrand ourselves The Quest.
Please tell how many partners do you have? What is your team?
Yeah, sure. We are 5 partners on the team, and it's funny because all the partner of the teams, I do believe that at the end of the day we are very similar in terms of what we love, what we like to do, how we enjoy the life. And I used to say create a startup is like a couple. You don't marry to someone because the person you say, okay, you are good at cooking and me, I'm good at cleaning, let's do a baby. People don't think like this, and I do believe that in the startup is basically the same. You have to love, you have to first love the people that you do, and the other thing, like are they good in their professional, is for me it's secondary. It's a bonus. But if you deeply love the people with you are doing the adventure, your journey is the most important. And so I know them for a long time because I was, as I told you, at the university with them. It was 10 years ago. And we ended create startup studio. But to be honest, it was, I think, most the hazard of the life. I mean, if tomorrow we crashed everything, I will rebuild the same thing. We will sell tomatoes. I don't know, sell burgers, no matter what. But I will keep the same team 100%.
Great. So this is the team from your university when you started together. How do you split duties, responsibilities between 5 partners? Like, who is responsible for what? And how do you work with startups?
Basically, we do have, let's say, a funnel, and each partner operate on a different part of the funnel because we do have knowledge that are quite different, even though we are very similar in the mindset. The first, at the beginning of the funnel, is Maxime Blondel, which is the CEO and the leader on the strategy, on the vision and the detection. He's someone that is very good to hire people and to feel when we get a very good entrepreneur. So he's at the beginning, at the ideation. He's very creative guys, I would say. Then you have Julian, that is the product guys. So he loves to be very hands-on in the product core building, to be hands-on in the growth and the building most of the time. Then we have me, which is my favorite part. The sales part is how to get the first customer, how to create a sales process, how to help the founders getting better in sales. Because at the end of the day, when you are founders, you are selling all the time. You are selling to the clients, you are selling to the investor, you are selling your project to the first employee you have to manage. So it's something very important to us, is to make them very, very good sales. So I manage this part. Then you have Adams, which is I would say the general of the operation. We create some KO and he helped them manage the KO by hiring the team, putting some process, helping to be more structured and more efficient in their work. And then on the final part, we have Pierre Paris, which is specialized in RPA and automatization and tools mostly. So he helps to build all the process, the automatization, and help them to be more also efficient in the field. So mostly it's this funnel. Now the fact is on the daily, someone is not because, for example, Pierre is at the end of the funnel. He cannot be involved at the beginning of the strategy because he will have some good insight on the on the project. And I do believe the very good thing about the studio is the collective work. I deeply think that is the best thing about the studio, is because you have a whole team that is involved on the project, and you can take some strange and some ideas, some input from everything on the team, and is not relying on only one or two founders. You are a team working with you, and each person has his own networks, has his own ecosystem. So it makes something more big together.
What is your team outside of the partners?
Yeah, our core team of the studio, you mean?
Yeah. What is your team? How many people are except your partners? Do you have this agency inside? What is the size?
Yes, exactly. So basically, we have 15 guys on the team right now, but they are very split on the different level of the studio. You know, we are 4 agencies now, and the team is split on the agency side, and we have also a team which is directly on the studio. That could be like a designer guy that is also a content content guy that will help the studio team develop some podcast content, YouTube channel, everything. And we have also assistants to the founder. Myself, I don't have assistant, but Maxime, for example, do have some assistants.
And those startups, do they hire their own team?
Yeah.
Except this 15 people of your main. So like this 15 people are your team, including founders, your agency, 4 people you said, and plus some people who are helping and supporting some startups.
Exactly. That's why our symbol is the octopus, because you know the octopus has different arms, you know, and so different people involved in different arms. And yes, our startup then hires their own team with their own culture, with everything different, and basically we push them to be independent the more quickly that they could, because the culture of the quest is not the culture of the startup. They have to build their own culture. They have to hire their own people, and again, our job is a foundation job. Is to make sure they avoid big mistake. Is to make sure they focus on the things that count the most at the beginning. So the product and solve an important problem. The rest is not important. So our job is to make that, and to make them independent the most quickly that we can.
Can you tell more about this program for dropout students?
Yeah,
which go to entrepreneurship. It's similar to Peter Thiel program. So can you elaborate on this idea?
Yes, definitely. Peter Thiel created the Thiel Foundation. We do not have the same fight, because I believe Peter Thiel is very angry about university and college in United States. So he created, like, he select, I think, like 20 or 30 talented dropout every year, and give them a check to let them create their dream project, and which is a very good format. But I don't think it's like a studio model. It's more like a associative model. But the thesis is very good. We do share the same vision that not all the people are made for university, and not all the people will perform in the university. I do believe that you don't judge a fish to his capacity to jump on the tree, you know. And I was very bad at the university. I was very sad at school when I was a kid, and so I think we create the quest for those people that will not fit on the I would say the regular pattern that we sell to the students.
How many applications do you get from students, and how many do you take every year?
It's very hard to tell you, because we do have a lot of more application that we can really manage, because we create 7 projects per year. So we have to be very, very selective. And I think we have more than hundreds of apply per month. And for me, it just demonstrates one thing, that the product market fit of our program, I would say the crisis of French education is real, because I would love to have to see similar structure like The Quest, help very young founders create their project, because I also believe that there is a deeply problem with the education system in France, and a lot of people are very sad and not fulfilled at school. And so I think we give them like an alternative ambition for those founders. So unfortunately, we are still a small team, and we do want to make some quality, not quantity, of the project. So we have to be very, very selective. And as a studio, you have to make sure you fit with those people. So even the people that sometimes are not integrated to our program, it does not mean that we do not think that they are good. It's just simply that we don't have, as I told you, the fit. And when you create a startup, you have to love the people with who you are going to create the startup.
So you said seven startups you plan to launch a year.
Yeah.
With those entrepreneurs. So
Yes.
like you've launched eight startups. Probably some died
Yeah.
of them.
I
But how many of those 7 a year will turn into companies, or there would be seven startups?
Yeah, very good question. Basically, the way we design it is that we have this selection method. So we meet a lot of people. When we do things someone can fit with the program and our mentality, he pass, I would say, like an examen test of 90 days when we started to iterate with them. At the beginning, it's something very not formal. We basically create a WhatsApp, a Slack when we start to iterate with the founders to, I would say, evaluate the capacity of execution and the velocity of the GAD, and how fast and how determine and how to evaluate this determination somehow. And if past those 90 days, we feel like, okay, it's really impressive, we can go and we can do something with him. We integrate the company. We deliver a pre-seed of 150K, like to help them build the foundation of the startup with some budget and some resources, and then it's the beginning of the program, and we build from with them during 90 months or at the seed.
Do you start this 90 days program every quarter? How is it done? Like how many students start this program and how many finish
Yes.
and you track them?
Sure, it's a very good question, and it was at the heart of the debate internally, because we have a cost of opportunity that is huge. So in my game, we cannot batch, the program. It will be easier to do it, in terms of I would say some economy to to start on the same day. But the reality is that it would be a very bad decision, because if I met Kylian Mbappé of entrepreneurship after my batch started, I cannot tell him, no, sorry, the shop is closed, go back in 1 year. So for this year, we started four of the project for this batch, and so we still have 3 startups to launch this year, and we will see during the years and during the I would say the chance of the people we met.
Can you tell more about this 3 months program? So if I understood right, you said it is like evergreen, meaning that students can join this program whenever they want.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have like a batch model.
Yeah. Tell what is inside and what is attrition, or how many students go until the end. And from how many students you actually decide that, okay, you went this 90 days program, we consider you for investment, and for launching a company with you. Like, what is your conversion ratio from those who started to those who finished, and then from those who finished to those you invested?
Yeah, I would say that half of the founders that go to the pre-selection program, I would say of 90 days, we will finally deliver some money and say, okay, let's go, let's join the quest. The reason is that most of the apply, we didn't even give them the opportunity to join the pre-selection program, because we do not feel them. For most of the time, when they join the pre-selection program, is because we are excited about it. Because investing 90 days on the iteration is still for me like investment of time, sometimes money, because for the iteration we have to pay some advertising, some freelancing to do for stuff, and to pay some resources to do properly the game of iteration, I would say. So it's one of 2 of the students that join this iteration program when we finally come to the program. But at the end is not a hard rate, which is hard is getting the opportunity to joining this pre-selection phase.
What is inside of this program?
Well, the first thing is that most of the people that came to us they are singular because they do have, I would say, a connection, a passion, or whatever with a sector of a knowledge. But most of the time, they don't know what to do. Our job is also to make a job of interviewing the founders and understand, okay, we believe that your project and the project when you will be the more able to perform is, I don't know, this a software company or their application or this consumer or I don't know. But our job is also to do like helping them find their genius zone, because we believe at the beginning it is the most important thing. That is not only about going on the new opportunity. It's not about going on AI because AI is trend. Is about helping the people finding where they will be the most happy and where they will be the most able to perform. I do believe that there is too many founders that go for the shiny object, that go for the things that seems cool, but at the end are not really able to perform in this project because they are simply not the good person to manage this project. So first of all, our job is to help them find the way and to help them find a project that makes sense with who they are, their strengths, then ability and everything. We have of course this phase, and then is about building, is about foundation. Our job is also hard because we have to find the right balance between help them have a learning curve. We don't have to make the job for them. We have to explain, okay, this is the right thing to do. You have to be more precise, more good on this field, but I will not make the sales for you. For example, I can teach you, I can help you what is a good sales, what is a good sales method, what is a good sales rep. I can give you all the tools, but you have to fail and you have to learn it by yourself. And which is very, very, very important. This is, we also think that we are more entrepreneurship school than startup studio, actually, because the type of founders that we made need this, and they have a lot of energy. They have basically the first thing that they want to do is build their startup. But for this, you have to give them the time and the resources and the help to do it.
Usually you have solo founders of these startups, so you don't match some founders to launch a startup.
Very good question, actually, and you are completely right. This is the key factor for us, and we are doing like a bit of Tinder. Our job is also to find co-founders for the partner. So is a completely a key factor success for a studio. Is their capacity to find and to create the core team of the project, which is, by the way, very hard things to do, because as the joke with the partner, he said, you can make someone sleep with someone for one night, but you cannot force someone to marry with someone during a long. So there is a bit of chance somehow in. That's why we are organizing a lot of events. We are developing the ecosystem of the Quest because we need to have, I would say, the chance to have some meet that can change the life of the founders.
But from these startups, usually there are two co-founders or solo co-founders. Solo founders.
Most of the time when they apply, they are solo founders. They are. As I told you, they have a specific knowledge. They could have.
But when they actually like incorporate a company, do you usually have someone, or it is sometimes it's one founder, sometimes two?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, for example, I can give you the right now on the 4 projects that we are working. 2 of the projects we already find the core team. At the beginning, they were alone, and we incorporated the startup, and there were 2 founders. And for the 2 other projects, we are still looking for the work partner, because this is that important that we want to make sure that when we say, okay, let's build this core team, the team is good, and this is the good team for the success of the startup. So as I told you, this is the key factor success for us. Donc, we cannot force the people to build together. You have to make the magic occur, I would say. So, but it's definitely part of our job.
What results do you have at the end of the program? Were there some startups that already got first customers during this program, or they have some MVP, minimal viable product? I'm talking about 90 days program.
Okay. So your question is when we say, what are the metrics when we say, okay, it's time to incorporate the company and start the real program? Yes, okay. It's very good question. What we are not looking like a PMF of 90 days, because it's very hard to find a PMF in 19 days. So we don't have like a very rigid metrics that say, okay, this is the right time. Is more about a feeling. Is more about, okay, the founders with who I've been working during those 90 days give me the feelings that he's here for the good reason. He have very good velocity. He are very intense in the project. He have the good reflex, and we can do something very big with him. So again, is more something like we are looking for singularity in the people. Our thesis is to bet on people first and the project in second. So it's more about testing the reflex and the velocity. And by the way, what we do, it was a secret, but now it will be no more a secret during those 90 days, is testing the rapidity of the people by not answering too quickly. You know, we are like, okay, let's iterate, let's discuss about the project, let's test some stuff, and we expect from the founders that they take the lead on the discussion, because we are also looking for leadership and singularity. And if the founder is like very intense, send us a lot of things, testing a lot of things, iterating, we say, okay, this is a very green flight and we have to go. But on the other side, when we feel like when we doesn't respond, the founder is not very involved, we say, okay, he will not he will not be very serious when it comes to working a lot. So it's a, you know, it's organic method.
Yes. Can you tell more about this like 20 million revenue you got? Most of it came from something like 3 or 4 companies. Maybe some of the startups got external funding.
So basically on this turnover, I would say we have 4 big winners with our Revoltrain, which is the online school that made 4 million and raised their first seed of 3 million last year. We are This Game, an application app mobile studio that went to US with the app Expose, which is a game multiplayer games, and turned out to 7K of MRR per month. We have Minea, which is the software for eShop and e-commerce to help the owner of eShop to find their winning product, and came to 0 to 500K of MRR per month.
Is this total amount of sales on this marketplace, or it is revenue of your platform, which is like your margin?
No, it's a turnover of the marketplace.
Turnover.
Yeah, sure, of course. It's not the margin. The margin really depends on the nature of the project, basically. So for software and mobile apps, they do have a very, very good margin. But for the online school, for example, the margins are very lower because there is more people to run the services.
You talked about three companies and fourth.
Yes, and the last one is a Sparkmate, is a engineering company. So basically, they are doing some prototyping for a huge corporate company, and help them build their first prototype for innovation. It's like a more services model, and so so last year they make 3 million of outcome, and so it's more like a services company, I would say. But we met the founder at the beginning of their journey when they just go out of engineering school.
How much equity do you have in those companies?
Yeah, it really depends. As I told you, we started like a playground entrepreneurial journey. So for some of them, we did some acceleration mostly. So they came to us and said, okay, we already have the ideation, the team, but we want to boost our sales or our marketing, for example. So we only to take like 10%, for example, for the acceleration format, and for some of them, we were at the ideation of the project. So we meet only one founders with like a good energy. We have our own ideation thesis, and we help them to grow the project, find their first customer, find their core team, etc., etc. And by the way, this is the real difference between an accelerator and the studio, and that's how we understand that we have to play the game of the studio, is by being at the ideation of the project. Now we refuse the people that came to us and say, I already have my product, I already have my team, but I need to find some partner to help me accelerate. Basically, this is not our job. There is people that do it in very well, but for the studio, we have to be at the very beginning. So the participation that we have on the project is depend really of the story. And I mean, on those 8 startups, the story is very different one by one. But on the large batch, with Revoltrain and Mobula, we were at the ideation, at the foundation of the project. So on the studio model, I would say.
If you can give example, like what is your sweet spot in terms of equity split, like startup studio, and how many founders take equity? So you invest 150k euro per company. What is the equity split, and what is your support to companies? What do they get except after this 90 days?
So basically, we split our equity in 2 parts. There is 10% that is for the training center, for the building of the company, for the ideation, and for the other things that we are going to do from 0 to 1, which is building the product, finding the foundation teams, finding the first employee of the startup, and mostly find a product market fit, and help them also have an office, because we do have our office in Paris downtown, so they can come into our office and work from there. And the other 10% is for the investors that invest in our fund to give the proceed of 150k.
And 80% is for founders.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, I don't know what you think about it, but 20% for us, it was the minimum we can do to have a successful model in terms of studio. But when you are above 20%, when the project goes to the seed, sometimes the fund are selling, the studio have too much on the cap table, blah, blah, blah. And so, for example, on the startup that raised on our portfolio, when we had like more than 25% of the sharings, it was a discussion. And to avoid those kind of discussion, and because we want to go first and think first to the interest of the project, we say, okay, let's lower our equity in the project. We take 20%. It's simple, 10% for the money and 10% for the building and the studio work. And then we will not be blocking at the seed, basically.
You are 5 founders. Even if let's say your shares split it equally in the studio, so like 20% for each founder, and then you have like 10% in the startup, meaning like 2% for each founder. Like, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that it's not mine company, or you feel like it is your company and you help them? Like, what is your feelings about having...
Well, I do think that I play in a game that is not about the amount of percentage that I have, is the value of the percentage that I have. And we play at the game that when they win, usually they win very big. So the question is, are you in or are you out? And it's not about I gain 2% or 3% or 5%. And if sometimes I hope that some of our future projects we go to the billion. Let's dream big. When you have a 1% of a billion company is enough. So the question is never. I mean, for me, is not a good way of thinking about it. And usually I tell that to the founders. Let's not fight for. I have to go 25 and you have 24. So it's not good way to think about it. And the most important thing is how our percentage can worst a lot. So basically, I feel very fine for it. In my opinion, we deserve a bit better. To be very crystal clear, we take the bet that is the more risky. Let's take the example of Revoltrain. We met Sacha Benamou at the beginning. He started as an intern in our in our studio, and by helping the founder and by working with the founders, he loved Corentin, with who we was working at the beginning. We were iterating on the idea, and Corentin said, "Okay, let's be my co-founder." And then the Revoltrain were very high. The model was very successful. They make a lot of money very, very quickly. And then they raised their first seed at 3 million. There is 3 million of euros. And I tell to the fund that came to me, say, 25% is a lot, blah, blah, blah on the company. I say it's very easy to give 3 million to Sacha right now. But 18 months ago, it was another story. To bet on, it was 18 years old at that time, bet on the intern of 80 years old. So in my opinion, is always a balance between the risk you pay and the reward that you get, actually. But on the other side, I do believe that you don't have to go against the market. If you are blocking your own project to get access to better fund and development is not also a good model. So we have to find,
of course.
Yeah, we have to find this right balance. I think 20% is good. Now we are going to make more volume of project, and at the end of the day, I will play like maybe 18 months, 2 years in a startup, but for the founders is a 10 years game. So I'm fine with personally taking only 3% because we are 5 co-founders of the studio. At the end of the day, it's about the journey and it's about enjoying the people that you make it. So I don't make it for the money, to be honest.
Do you have someone except 5 founders in your main team? And if yes, what are sources of income for the studio? Do you have some cash flow going into the studio?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, it's a very good question. Actually, at the beginning, as I told you, we started as a bootstrap startup studio. So to finance, and as you know, is a long play game, the startup studio. So you have to wait some time before getting your cash back of your equity. But during those time, you have to pay everything, the operation cost. And so we build an internal agency of the beginning that were the agency based on our knowledge of, as I told you, search engine optimization and everything we learned to launch our first marketplace and learn our first startup. So we build internal agency that get some clients, external clients, and help them grow, for example, in their search optimization work. And with the revenue of those agency, we invest them on the project. So at the beginning, we started like this to bootstrap and to be self-independent, I would say. And then we raise our fund to now have an independent fund that can deliver this pre-seed and this is a better model because you can go very more faster. We are not like we are waiting of the revenue of the agency to invest in the startup. At the beginning, it was like mandatory to start it because no one is going to give you €1 if you don't have any track record, if you do not prove that you are able to build some relevant project. But now it's the case. It's better to have this fund that help our startup studio.
Do you have this agency working? Is it separate from startup studio?
No, it's an internal agency actually. They are not like external companies. It's an external brand. It's a commercial brand. For each agency, but they are operating directly inside the agency. And we have a contract that in France is called intrapreneur, like internal entrepreneurship, which is a statute that is different from founder, external founder, I would say. And they are basically employee with an incentive of the revenue of the agency, but they are internal of our studio.
Okay, and the same agency helps its startups in the active cohort. So you talked about like we are now working on 4 startups.
Yeah.
Let me understand. So does it mean that there were like 8 startups you said in your portfolio, but 4 already are spinoffs and 4 are active, or it means that 8 already are spinoffs and 4 are new active you're working on? So like total amount of startups is 12.
Yeah, no, it's 12 right now. 8 are already spin-off, and we are currently working on 4 new. And this year we'll work on 7. So 4 have already started, and we'll do
more.
three more this year. And then yes, the agency help our startup, but mostly I would say at the beginning when you are looking for a product market fit. You don't need agency services. You just need to find a client that is ready to pay you for the product that you are building. So usually the agency help our startup more like maybe 2 years after the post product market fit. So I can give you the example, but our internal agency is called SEO Secret. It's a SEO agency, and right now they are helping Rival Train on to get more organic references ranking on their website, and which is a very good unfair advantage, by the way, because most of the startup post that they are raising funds, they usually pay services agency, marketing services agency to get more traction. But most of the time, the quality of the agency are so. I would say you can never know, when you go through an agency. So that is cool, is that as is our internal agency, we are sure of the quality of the work, and is also a good way for the startup to do not pay and invest too much in marketing agency. So I would say is an unfair advantage for them.
Do startups pay money for these services, or they get the services as part of this deal for equity?
They pay like the minimum cost of the services. It means like we do not get like benefit from this, but for example in SEO you have to write some articles, so it means we pay copywriters, so we'll invoice the price of the copywriter. But of course, when we do have equity in the project, we do not get, we are not looking to make margin on our own startup. Like it doesn't make sense. So we just pay the cost that we are paying for deliver the services.
So these 4 startups you're working on, when founders ended this 90 days program, how much time will you help them? Like, during what period of time are you working as a studio helping a startup?
Yeah, we are working until the seed of the fundraising. For most of the times, they will need to raise money because on the startup is product model. So you are looking for growth, and to make some growth, you need to have money to do it. Our operational stop ended after the seed for the startup that will not need to go because I don't know, they have a very huge success. I take the example of Minea, the software company, the SaaS that we co-created. Minea had a huge growth and huge income without raising money. So post 18 months, we say, okay, our job is basically finished. The founding team is completely do not need our operational services anymore. We can go back from the operational part, I would say. So it's either they go to the seed and we go back, or either 18 months. But I usually say it's hard to know in advance how long time you go to when you start, you don't really know when you go out. As you have equity in the project, your incentive is to make the best of those equity. So we go outside the operational field when we feel that okay, now the project is mature enough and do not need our studio implication, I would say.
How many startups did seed round?
From the last year, there were Mobula and Revoltrain, as I told you on the past batch, and and besides Mobula, there were Sparkmate and MyLuby also that did seed round. So 4 on the 8 that raised money.
4 out of 8.
Yeah, exactly. And the other were auto self-financing.
Sparkmate. So I know Sparkmate. Can you tell more about are they part of the quest?
Yes, Sparkmate were basically the first startup that we helped accelerate. As I told you, they were part of what we call ourselves the secret company, where we were like the entrepreneurial playground. So they were like a first crash test, I would say. We help them mostly on the sales and acquisition part. The guy of Sparkmate, we are very, very, I love them very much. Are very crazy people. And they started as in general services agency, I would say. They help big corporates build their prototype, and now, and which is a very good news, they are turning to more studio models. They will become a studio dedicated to hardware in the environmental field.
Morgan, right? Morgan.
Morgan Pellissier, the famous one. And Morgan, I think, is the guy that I know that work the most. And I know many people that work a lot. But Morgan is one of the most impressive founders I ever met in my life. And so we meet them. They were like just going out of school. They were also like 20, maybe 22 years old, 23 years old. And so it was the beginning of the Suket company at the time.
Tell about the biggest mistakes and your learnings during management of the studio.
Do we have time to make a second podcast or not? Because as I told you, we started like a entrepreneurial playground. So we made a lot of mistakes until understand very deeply what is a startup studio model and how to play it well. So it's, but I think we did all the mistakes you can do when you launch a startup studio. Is not by, for example, not having, and this is what our portfolio were different equity, because we didn't understand that when you have a studio, you have to have a model and you have to stick to this model, and you not take like, I would say, opportunistic deal and make some hybrid. For me, it's something very defocused. Now we have one model, we deliver some money and we deliver studio work. So 10% for the studio work and 10% for the money is a simple model that everything understand, and this is something cool. But before that, I think we took too much like hybrid deal, which was not what should do a studio. So first thing. Then the second part is not understanding that one of our job is to find a partner team against, because the risk with the studio model is that the founders thinks that you are your co-founders. Somehow you are part of the co-founder, but you cannot be the only one. It's like a child, you know. The child have to at some point become a teenager and be independent. You cannot micromanage and be like a parent during the whole time of the startup. So it was our second mistake, is not deeply understand that our job is also mostly to build a very strong team and a very good team for the project. And then would be the third biggest mistake that we made. Maybe sometime I often say you can make some compromises on everything, but not on the culture. This is something I think is very, very important. The culture is the foundation of the company. And when you have a culture, you cannot make some compromises on it. So sometimes I think we work with people that were not a fit to the culture, but we were thinking that it's a good opportunity. And in my opinion, you cannot trade culture for opportunity. You have to believe that your culture is the right one, and you have to believe that the way you do the thing might not be the perfect things, but is your own things to do, and you have to stick with it and to not make some compromises. So sometimes I think we did that, and it ended up in badly most of the time. So now it's something we are very, I would say, very rigid, and we say no, this is our culture is that, and we'll not trade for whatever.
Let me share my thoughts about your model.
Because I think you are the guys the most informed about the startup studio on the planet.
What I think is interesting about your model is that you engage with students, dropouts, and you don't pay salary, of course, during this 90 days program. And you are focusing on people who are very eager to start being entrepreneur and who are very active. And you are looking for these diamonds out of many people. Because they're students, you can have quite lean model. So like for them, this 100 or 150k euro is quite big amount of money, I think, to start. They're very motivated to start. And you are like looking through a bunch of students and taking best ones and trying to help them find their dream startup or dream business they're ready to do without not only by mind but by heart that you described. So this is interesting. I think that maybe you get expertise in marketplaces, and maybe you try to focus a bit more on marketplaces. I'm not sure is it this or not, but you have other like unfair advantage of focusing on students without big families to pay mortgage and something like this. So
Definitely.
These are some advantages you're using.
No,
What do you want to add to this?
no, it's a very good analysis. And by the way, which is funny, most of the studio prefer to hire repeat time founders like that are more like 35 years old, 45 years old, went from a very selective and a very famous university or consulting company or everything, which is something good because they have the track record. But the fact is that they cost a lot. Because you cannot pay a 35, 45 ex consulting partner of company the minimum salary. You have to maintain a certain level of I would say of life. And the unfair advantage with working with a very very young entrepreneur and dropout is that most of the time they do not have many things to pay. They live in their parents' house, and the only thing that matter for them is building the startup, building their dream project. So they have a commitment that is very, very, in my opinion, above the 35, 45 guys that already have his family, his wife, I don't know, or his man. So it's also an unfair advantage. We bet on the energy and we bet on the velocity they are able to put on the table.
Of course, there is statistics showing that like 45 years old founders, they are more likely to create successful company because of their networks and so on. But like you just balance these probabilities with unfair advantage of very motivated without salaries entrepreneurs.
Yeah, of course. And then we bring them what they lack sometimes. So we bring them the ecosystem, we bring them the networks, we bring them the money, so it's a good combination, I think.
Okay, thank you, Robin, for the conversation.
Yeah,
I wish you good luck with your studio and new successes, new Series A, Series B, C, and exits for your startups.
We will go for it, 100%. It's just the beginning, but we do believe that our model is a great thing to do, and the future is ahead.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much, Max, for the invitation.
Once my team of my company met in person, so our team is remote, but we met in Turkey. Okay. And we had 2 weeks together with different activities together, work together, have fun, and had also some like training for teams, things like this.
Okay.
Oh wow! People were describing me, and they said something that I can launch rockets into the space from shit and how is it called? And branches. I don't remember how. And sticks from sticks and shit.
Yeah, from sticks. Like, okay, I get it. Okay. I love this philosophy. It's the philosophy of done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this quote?
Yeah. Done is better than perfect.
It's something that we very repeat to the founders. It's okay. It's not perfect. Your first podcast will be bad. Your first project will be bad. Your first pitch to investor will be bad. But we don't care. The thing is about step by step, try to improve myself better. So I'm sure the next time I'm doing a podcast in English, it will be better, and that's fine.